Every success story you've ever watched skips the exact moment that mattered most. They show you the before, struggling, broke, stuck. Then they show you the after, confident, successful, free. But they almost never show you the middle. The actual moment everything changed, that's not an accident. It's because the real shift isn't dramatic enough to film. There's no lightning bolt, no dramatic speech, swells, and everything is suddenly different. The real shift is quiet. It happens inside a decision so small that even the person making it barely notices. And once you understand what it actually is, you'll start seeing it everywhere. In every person who changed their life, and in every person who's still waiting to. Today, I'm going to show you that shift. Not the version you see in motivational clips, the real one. And by the end, you'll know exactly which side of it you're standing on right now. Here's a hint before we get into it. This shift has nothing to do with waking up earlier, reading more books, or finding the right routine. Those things can help once the shift has already happened, but they are never the cause of it. Most people spend years rearranging the furniture in a room that was never the actual problem. Welcome back to Fuse Mindset, the place where we don't just talk about success, we break it down until it actually makes sense. If you're new here, this channel is for one type of person. Someone who's tired of surface-level advice and finally ready for something that actually explains how change works. If that's you, hit subscribe right now, because what you're about to hear isn't a hack or a routine. It's the thing underneath all of them. And once you see it, you'll understand why so much advice never sticks. Every week, we take one idea that gets repeated everywhere without ever being explained properly, and we actually explain it. No fluff, no filler, just the mechanism underneath. Let's get into it. Here's the myth first. Most people believe change starts with a decision. I've had enough. Starting Monday, everything is different. It feels powerful in the moment. It rarely holds. Because that kind of decision is still coming from the old version of you. The one trying to force a new outcome using the same self-image that produced the old one. It's like repainting a wall without fixing the crack underneath. It looks different for a week. Then the crack shows through again. The real shift isn't a decision about what to do. It's a quiet change in who you believe you already are. Think about the difference between these two sentences. I'm trying to become someone who exercises, and I'm someone who exercises. They sound similar. They are not the same thing at all. The first one is a task hanging outside of you, something you reach for and can just as easily put down. The second one is already inside you. You don't decide whether to do it each morning. You just do it. The same way you brush your teeth without negotiating with yourself first. Most people spend years stuck in the first sentence, wondering why their motivation keeps running out. Motivation was never the missing ingredient. Identity was, this is worth sitting with for a moment because it explains a pattern almost everyone has lived through. You set a goal. You feel genuinely excited about it. You start strong. And then, somewhere around week 2 or 3, the excitement fades and the goal starts to feel like a chore again. Most people conclude they simply lack discipline. What actually happened is that the goal was still sitting outside of them, unattached to any real sense of who they are. Excitement fades. Identity doesn't. Here's what nobody tells you about how that identity actually changes. It's not one dramatic realization. It's built the same way trust is built between two people, through small, repeated evidence, collected quietly over time until belief simply arrives. Every time you do something aligned with who you want to become, you're not just completing a task, you're casting a small vote for a new identity. One vote doesn't change anything by itself, but votes accumulate. And eventually, without ever announcing it to yourself, you become someone new. Not because you decided to, but because the evidence became undeniable. This is why the shift is invisible from the outside, and often invisible to the person going through it too. There's no single day you can point to. There's just a version of you, a few months in, who no longer recognizes the person who almost quit. Think about anyone you know who seems to effortlessly maintain a habit that would exhaust you. It's tempting to assume they were simply born with more discipline, but ask them, and most of the time, they'll tell you about a period where it was just as hard for them as it currently is for you. The difference is, they kept voting long after it stopped feeling exciting, until the vote count tipped and the habit stopped requiring a decision at all. Let's talk about the moment right before the shift happens, because this is where almost everyone gets stuck. It looks like this. You're tired. You don't feel like doing the thing. Every reasonable sounding excuse is available to you, and honestly, most of them are true. You are tired. It has been a long day. Tomorrow really would be a fine time to start. In that exact moment, there are two versions of you available. The default version, who has always taken the easier option and calls it being realistic. And a version who does the smaller, harder thing anyway. Not because they suddenly feel motivated, but because they've decided the feeling doesn't get the final vote. Nobody sees this moment. There's no audience, no accountability, no witness except you. And that's exactly why it's the moment that matters most. Character isn't built in front of other people. It's built in the countless private moments nobody will ever know about except you. This is the part nobody talks about because it isn't inspiring to film. There's no story here, just someone, alone, choosing the slightly harder option for the 10th time in a row, for no audience and no immediate reward. But here's the thing. That boring, invisible moment, repeated enough times, is the entire mechanism behind every transformation you've ever admired. Not talent, not luck. Just that one private choice, made again and again until it stopped being a choice and became a default. It's worth noticing how differently this feels from the way transformation is usually marketed. There's no countdown, no big reveal, no single dramatic before and after photo capturing the actual work. The actual work looks almost embarrassingly ordinary while it's happening. It only starts to look impressive in hindsight, once enough of those ordinary moments have piled up into something undeniable. Now let's talk about why this shift is so rarely discussed. Even though it's the actual answer underneath almost every self-improvement topic, it doesn't sell well. Watch 100 private, unglamorous moments of you choosing discipline over comfort doesn't make a compelling headline. 5 habits that will change your life by Friday does, even though it's not really true. We're drawn to the version of change that looks like an event because events are exciting and simple. A new morning routine, a vision board, a powerful quote at just the right moment. These things can help, but none of them are the actual mechanism. They're the surface. The mechanism is underneath, quiet, and much less exciting to talk about. This creates a strange trap. People consume endless content about changing their life, and very little of it addresses the one thing that actually changes a life, which is who you believe you are, proven to yourself through repetition, not told to yourself through a slogan. There's an even deeper reason this shift stays hidden. Admitting that real change comes from hundreds of small, unglamorous, private decisions removes the excitement from the whole idea of transformation. It's much more comfortable to believe there's a secret system, a missing piece of information, or a better set of tools waiting to be discovered. That belief keeps us searching, watching, buying, and consuming, always one step away from the version of us that finally does the work. The truth is less marketable, but it's also far more useful. There was never a missing piece. There was only the next small vote, available the entire time. Here's a story that captures this perfectly, and you've probably lived a version of it yourself. 2 people decide to start running. Both buy the shoes, both set an alarm. Day 1, they both go. Day 2, it rains, and one of them stays home thinking, "It's just one day, I'll catch up tomorrow." The other one goes anyway, in the rain, telling themselves nothing more dramatic than, "This is just what I do now." Neither of them feels particularly disciplined that morning. Neither of them feels like a runner yet. But 3 months later, one of them has quietly become someone who runs, without ever having a big moment where they decided that's who they were. The other one is still telling people they're trying to get back into it. The gap between those 2 people wasn't motivation, willpower, or even circumstances. It was 100 tiny, unremarkable choices, each one invisible on its own, each one casting a vote nobody was counting except the person making it. If you asked the person who kept going what changed on any single one of those difficult days, they probably couldn't tell you. There was no speech they gave themselves, no breakthrough insight. They just decided over and over that they were the kind of person who shows up and eventually stopped needing to decide it at all. Meanwhile, the person who stopped wasn't lazy or weak. They simply never got enough repeated evidence to override the old, more comfortable story they'd always told themselves. So here's the actual shift, stated plainly. It's the moment you stop asking, "What do I need to do to change?" and start asking, "What would the person I'm trying to become do right now?" Then you do that thing, immediately, before the feeling has time to talk you out of it. It sounds almost too simple to be the answer to something as big as personal transformation. That's exactly why so few people find it. We assume the real answer must be complicated, hidden, reserved for people with more resources or more willpower than us. It isn't. It's available to you in the next 5 minutes. In whatever small decision is in front of you right now, you don't need a new plan. You don't need to wait for Monday, or January, or the version of yourself that finally feels ready. You need one small piece of evidence today that the person you're becoming is already a little more real than the person you've been. Notice, too, that this shift never asks you to become a completely different person overnight. It only asks for the next single vote, not a transformed life by tomorrow, just one decision, right now, that looks like the person you're trying to become, instead of the person you've always defaulted to being. Everything else follows from that, slowly, quietly, the same way it did for every person you've ever admired. That's it. That's the shift nobody talks about because it doesn't look like anything from the outside. It looks like an ordinary Tuesday, where you did the slightly harder thing for reasons you couldn't fully explain to anyone else. And a year of ordinary Tuesdays like that is the entire difference between the life you have and the one you keep saying you want. If this video gave you a clearer way to think about real change, subscribe to Fuse Mindset. This is exactly the kind of content we post every week. Not to entertain you for 10 minutes, but to give you something that actually holds up when the motivation runs out, which it always eventually does. And tell me in the comments, what's one small, unglamorous thing you did recently that nobody else noticed, but you knew mattered? I read every comment, and some of the best future topics on this channel come directly from what you share. Remember this, you are not waiting for a big moment to change your life. You are one small, private decision away from starting the evidence that becomes a new identity. Nobody will see it happen. You don't need them to. Years from now, if things go well, someone might look at your life and call it a transformation. They'll wonder what the big turning point was, what the secret must have been. You'll know the truth. There wasn't one big turning point. There was just today and tomorrow, and an ordinary decision made quietly enough times that it eventually became who you are. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, cast one vote today for the person you're becoming.